ready to fire. That was a pretty slow process, anywhere from 30 seconds for an experienced soldier or maybe more, and it also depended on the weather if that was actually going to work. If it's raining outside and you've got exposed black powder, that becomes pretty useless pretty easily. If it gets damp, it doesn't really work that well. So muskets, very slow but also very inaccurate. When you load a musket ball itself, it's actually smaller than the bore of the gun, which means once you load it and try and fire, it's going to rattle around in there, maybe catch an edge, and go off in whichever direction. It's not going to go straight, basically. The best spot to be is right in front of a musket. They're accurate to maybe 50 yards is what we would have said. So when you're using muskets, line tactics is what would have been used as well. So men are lined up, shoulder to shoulder, facing the enemy, definitely not trying to hide, wearing those, bright red jackets. So it makes sense in the time period when you're using muskets. However, these advanced fairly quickly to be breech-loading weapons. So if you see in the back here, there's actually a little trap door nowadays where we insert a brass-rolled cartridge, which is a very modern-looking round. Insert it in the back, close it up, and you're done. So that's about 6 seconds to fire and reload, and it's very, very much faster than a musket. It also is very much more accurate because of the grooves on the inside of the barrel. There's spiraling, which essentially makes the shot, when it ejects from the rifle, spin kind of like an American football. So if you think of an American football, if you put a nice tight spiral on it, it's going to go further, faster. Whereas if you throw it kind of wobbly like that, it's not really going to work that well. So now these weapons are accurate up to 450 yards comparatively to muskets. That's a whole lot better. And they're also a whole lot faster, as I mentioned. Now, unfortunately for the soldiers in this time period, they were still wearing these bright red jackets with these bright feather bonnets and basically a cross on your chest as if to say, shoot me here. It makes a pretty good target, right? So unfortunately for the soldiers, a lot more men were killed before the uniforms changed and basically the war tactics changed. So right into the First World War, where you see trenches being dug and the uniforms changing into browns and greens and things like that to hide with your environment. Are there any questions, folks, before we actually get to see this fired? All right. We're going to be firing 3 rounds off. You'll see myself and Corporal Lynch taking our earplugs out of our pockets and putting those in. We do this every day, so I don't really want to have hearing damage from a summer job, so that's why I do this. But it will not hurt your hearing, folks. But the best time to plug your ears is when the rifle is on his shoulder. It's also the best time to take a picture, so I'll leave that choice up to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, there will be a live black powder rifle demonstration over here on South Parade right now.
This is the brass roll cartridge that he was just firing. It's a 5.77 caliber. It's fairly large, and with the accuracy of the rifles back then, it was pretty devastating round. And it's percussion cap center fire in the back here. If that means anything to anyone, I don't really know what it means. And today, obviously, we don't actually fire anything from the rifle other than a little bit of black powder, so we wouldn't really want to destroy our windows or our walls. So we only fill it with a small amount of black powder, basically enough to make a loud bang and a little bit of smoke and the smell of sulfur that you might have smelled as well while he was firing. Are there any questions, folks?